Welcome to Break Into Tech Show with Professor Temi Akinwumi of My IT University, a multi-award winning tech CEO, career coach, and mentor. With decades of hands-on tech career, will ensure your career dreams come true. Join our extraordinary show today on groundbreaking topic for a successful career. Do you want a $100,000 job as a cybersecurity professional, Scrum Master, Business Analyst Software QA, Cloud Architect, Data Analyst, Technical Recruiter, and more? Visit www.myituniversity.com to schedule a call. Come and get inspired to secure a lucrative job, keep the job, and grow on the job. Relax, receive, and see results. We're glad you're here. Share, like, and comment.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is your Break Into Tech show. My name is Professor Temi Akinwumi. Been in tech for 3 decades, and you all know me by now. And we're going to be discussing a very important topic today. I'm so glad that you are here and you are even considering breaking into tech. Tech is the future, and the future is right here. Okay, you can also break into tech. You can also do well in tech. You don't have to have any IT background. You don't have to have any college degree in tech or anyhow. We can train you, we can mentor you, we can coach you and help you break into tech. If you're interested in tech, you can schedule a free discovery call with me and I'll help you break into tech. So I thank you all for joining and I thank you all for being here. And I have here with me a very, very important person, and she's going to introduce herself. But we're going to be discussing today about Scrum Master Daily. We're going to have several series of this Scrum Master Daily. And what we're trying to do with this is a situation whereby opportunity to get to meet a lot of our Scrum Masters, senior Scrum Masters that have worked with organizations before, that we have mentored over the years. And we get to discuss some very important topic to encourage aspiring Scrum Masters or people that are already Scrum Master and they are practicing, but they are, just to share ideas and opinion and help you understand a better understanding of Scrum. So we're going to be looking today on sprint planning step by step. And we also have some tips about tools like JIRA and some other tools. So today with me, I'm going to allow the young lady to introduce herself. Her name is, she's going to do that. So I'll let her introduce herself. Welcome, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Temi, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Kimberly Jenkins. I am a graduate. I am a mentee of Professor Temi and also a mentor. I was introduced to Professor Temi's content while looking into the GRC space, governance, risk, and compliance, and then saw one of her videos about being a Scrum Master. And I immediately was like, this is something I should do because there was so much alignment with a lot of the skills that I already possess, which are called transferable skills. And so in the event, if you decide that this is something you want us to move forward to, or even have questions about, by all means, take the step that we also took, was scheduling our free discovery call with her, 30-minute call to gain insights about what direction you're trying to go through, and she can help you develop a roadmap. So my name is Kimberly, Scrum Master today, and thank you, Professor Temi, again.
Thank you, Kimberly. Like we always say that you don't have to have an IT background to break into Scrum. What is your background before, a long time ago, before you broke into Scrum? What is your background?
Yes, ma'am. The majority of my professional background was nursing, from bedside to advanced practice. And before I transitioned into nursing, I was an electrical engineer for about 5 years. So yes, no, you do not need to have an IT background in order to break into tech. And the beauty is that you don't have to know coding, nor do you have to have a formal 4-year education, and that these programs do equip you to be successful.
Thank you. And correct me if I'm right. I think you were even a nurse practitioner at this point, right?
Yes, advanced practice. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Good. So can I ask you a question? Many people will be asking, so who is a Scrum Master?
A Scrum Master is an individual, male or female or whomever, who essentially masters the Scrum framework. It is a framework that's been used over about 20 years now, wherein, oops, sorry, can we start over?
No, go ahead, ma'am. You are fine.
Okay, I'm fine. Okay. So being a Scrum Master is essentially an individual who helps to manage a framework called Scrum. And it was used to help to make things more simplified with having something more deliverable in a short amount of time to to stakeholders, to customers. Back in the day, even still today, there are some people who like to use what's called a waterfall. You start with an idea, a team works on it, and then once everything is done, they deliver it to a customer with minimal engagement in between. And what they have found is there have been a lot of communication issues. The customer or stakeholders not satisfied with the end product. Whereas Scrum, you have a group of individuals where they have what are called sprints, anywhere from a week to 4 weeks time, where they want to make sure they have something delivered to the customer or stakeholder within a timely fashion to keep them engaged, making sure we're meeting their needs and their requirements of what they would like to have. And so, with being a Scrum Master, we facilitate, we schedule and organize these meetings, aka ceremonies or events. Depending on which organization where you are employed, they may say events, they may say ceremonies. And that includes something that's called a daily scrum or daily huddle, which is 15 minutes, wherein everyone meets. It's primarily for the developers of the team. Those were the ones who were actually creating the work done that is to be delivered to the stakeholder or customer, wherein they speak about what they did yesterday, what's being done today, and then if there are any issues or impediments hindering them for progressing through the sprint to have something delivered. And these are opportunities where we as a Scrum Master, we promote transparency. That way we all know what's going on. And we make adjustments, therefore being adaptable while we're inspecting this process of what's going on. Following that, there'll be a time period where there are meetings such as a review. Some call them a demo, depending on which organization where you are. Wherein the developers, the product owner, stakeholders, customers meet to review what's been done thus far. And we provide immediate feedback. We obtain immediate feedback and then make adjustments to implement to the next sprint. In addition, there's also the retrospective. And the retrospective is at the end of the sprint to then look at how did things go during the sprint, what things went well collectively, what things went well individually, and then as a whole. And then we also look at what could have been better and how can we improve. And so it's definitely a great aspect to have a sense of a debriefing, like looking at the whole picture overall. And there are a lot of teaching points you can learn from to implement.
Lesson learned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And following that, there's where we roll into the sprint planning that we're here to speak about today. We'll speak more about.
Okay, very good. So you have all those ceremonies, and those are your activities for the day.
Yes.
That's how you go over it. And at every point in time, you are in different like ceremony. Maybe at a particular time you may be doing sprint planning. At another time you may be doing what else? What else do you
Yeah.
do?
So you definitely want to start your day. You definitely want to start your day reviewing emails because sometimes meetings could have been added to your schedule the night before that you'll have to be present for, which are independent of and sometimes related to the work that you're working on. Also, from there, we'll have your daily scrum. For us, we also have an additional meeting. I won't disclose the name of that meeting,
So
but
the daily scrum in this program, we're not going to mention any company or anything.
yes,
So the daily scrum is more like meeting, like
yes,
that you do 15 minutes meeting
that's right.
and discuss about the three things that you mentioned earlier. What have you done yesterday? What are you doing today? Do you have any
Yes,
impediments? So
yes,
you can be doing that, and
yes,
after that, that's the meeting where you can everybody collaborate and discuss, right?
absolutely. Yes,
And
ma'am.
what else do we do daily?
Yes. And each day is not identical. As far as a scrum, yes, that is ideal to be Monday through Friday, as often as possible to promote that transparency so we can just make sure who's in sync and if there are any impediments. Impediment, again, meaning something that's hindering the progression of what we're working on to be delivered at the end of a sprint. There are also meetings that could be within your overall business area or your product area. So that also depends. And so I would have to emphasize every day is not identical. You would also have meetings where they're one-to-ones with your team members. And that is important because one, as a Scrum Master, one, you also have to gain a relationship with your team members if you're new, and maintaining that rapport. And that also affords people the opportunity to gain insights of what the other team members are working on, because then the more we're familiar with what they're doing, we can also better identify impediments with them. So that also comes to play as well.
Okay, so when we talk about team members, who and who consists of a team member in a Scrum, environment?
Yes, the overarching would be a developer is the overarching theme. There are people who are not developing code, but they actually may develop web pages or develop learning material or work with teams about how to obtain data. So you can have data analysts, business analysts, QA testers. So it varies per group, but overall, that would be the developer. You'll have one Scrum Master per team and one product owner.
So how large can the team be?
Ideally, no more than 10.
No
more than 10. No more than 10.
Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you. So when we're looking at these ceremonies that you mentioned or events, which one are your best two and why?
I would think best would be
Favorite.
my favorites. I think I would have to say, well, first, retrospective. I definitely am one to take in learning points, because it's always important to look at areas of improvement, recognizing the wins. And even where there are areas of improvement, those are also wins too, because those are stepping stones for us to help and to improve the next phase. And I also like the reviews, because that also affords us to have that engagement with the customers or stakeholders to get that immediate feedback. And of course, make any adaptations, adjustments based on his or her needs.
Yeah, so the retrospective is like a lesson learned, looking back in past. What have we learned from these sprints?
Yes.
What are the things that we want to keep doing? What are the things we want to stop doing? Things like that.
Yes.
So what are the things we want to continue doing? So those three things they always look at in the retrospect. So now in the Scrum demo, we pretty much call it like a demo, right? Review.
Yes.
Demo what you've done. So you can't kind of super excited, like, oh yeah, let's show what we've done. Let us show the whole world, and everybody's invited. So you want to demo what you have done, the features, the new additions to what you've done. So that's very good that you pick those two, because those are very important. But today I want to look quickly into sprint planning step by step. How do you do your sprint planning?
Yes, absolutely. So it's definitely important to make sure that throughout the sprint, there is what is called the backlog refinement. The backlog is owned by the product owner. The product owner, if there's a business analyst or even the developers of the team, can enter their user stories, and user stories are the things that they are working on to deliver by the end of each sprint. Each developer will not only enter a user story before the end of the sprint, but also estimate, and we'll get to that. And estimating is essentially the level of difficulty that one will require to complete that work during a sprint. Excuse me. And so it's preferred to have that done before the sprint planning begins, just to make it more seamless and more efficient, especially taking into consideration time. Although the Scrum Guide, it does have it based on each week, but from what I've learned, pending the organization, it may be allotted for an hour, it may be allotted for 2 or broken into 2 hours. So it all depends on where you're working, but essentially still having more alignment with the Scrum Guide as much as possible, but still, of course, being adaptable along the way. And so what we like to use, and what a lot of people, from my understanding of speaking to other colleagues and other organizations, is that there is JIRA. JIRA is a project management tool. And it can happen wherein the Scrum Master shares his or her screen, or everybody is looking at their own screens. And what happens is you open up the Epic for the backlog. And the backlog is just a series of things that are prioritized by the product owner, what we want to work on next, the level of importance that we want to deliver within the next 2 or 3 weeks, or however many weeks your sprint is allotted and customized for your team. There are epics, and epics is the bigger picture. You want to think about the epic is like a book, essentially. And within the book are the chapters. Okay, and within the chapters, those are where we have the user stories. For example, we want to work on creating a window, an actual window of a home. That is the epic. That's the big picture. And within that big picture, we have the stories, design the frame, pick the glass, energy saving. So these are types of things we look at. So giving a sense. So what happens in JIRA, you want to open up the epic and then the affiliated user stories and go one by one. What normally happens is the product owner will have a chance to review the product backlog before the actual sprint planning, whereas he or she could prioritize them accordingly to meet his or her needs. That's in alignment with the customer's needs or stakeholders' needs. And what's done is, for example, there's a user story and you click on it from JIRA, and the corresponding developer who assigned themselves, we Scrum Masters don't assign the user stories. The developers know, like, you know what, this is for me. I already know what's in alignment with the product owner needs. I'm assigning myself to this. And then going over the acceptance criteria meaning how do we know that this is done? How do we know that it's complete? And then reviewing the estimation just to make sure everyone is on board.
The definition of done.
Yes, and the definition of not done. So what is done and what is not done? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that also affords us time to look at, there are tasks within a user story wherein it's just like, these are the steps I have to take to make sure the acceptance criteria is met. And it's important to take note. If there is a task that may take too long, you may want to create a separate user story for that. Because if some things are if I need A to be done before B, that could hinder a whole process. You may not be able to deliver those window measurements, just giving an example again. Okay. And then you repeat that process over and over through each story. Also, let me rewind. You also want to make sure, before we even get into going over the epics and opening up JIRA, you want to know who is going to be working during the sprint, who is going to be in training, who is going to be out of the office, because that also impacts what can be carried out during the sprint.
Yes.
Summertime, very vacation heavy time of year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not uncommon for multiple team members to be out of the office at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so some work will have to be then carried over to the next sprint because it would not be addressed, and only certain things will be able to be done. So you want to take what's called the capacity. Mm-hmm. How many people are available to work that sprint? And then from there, you then start going through the epics in each story accordingly. Mm-hmm. After all of that is done, because some things, pending the needs of the stakeholder or customer, some user stories can wait. Something else, some things can wait. And then you want to look at everyone's story points for that upcoming sprint. Is like, is this too much? Do we have to add something? Is it too little? Let's reevaluate. For example, one person, if they only have a certain number of hours allotted a day because there are other obligations elsewhere, then you want to think about the number of stories that he or she's going to be working on. Because the idea or the ideal situation is that whatever user story we have is completed during that sprint. Yes, are there times where it's carried over? It happens. And in any event, if it's done, then that's where the retrospective comes into play. It's like, okay, this wasn't done. Let's look at the reasons why. What could be done differently so we can reduce these occurrences from happening? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, Thank you very much. So sprint planning is very, very important. If you
Absolutely.
don't plan your sprint very well, you might actually fail at the end of the day. So sprint planning is the elementary step of getting ready to start the sprint. So it's very important that we discuss sprint planning and you as a Scrum Master understand what sprint planning means to you.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned JIRA, so that means I'm sure you like JIRA a lot. What other tools have you kind of like to use for your Scrum as a Scrum
Okay.
Master?
What I've learned, it's what works best for the team.
Mm,
Um, for example, there are a lot of the whiteboard collaborative programs that have really skyrocketed in the setting of the pandemic because people are no longer to use the hard whiteboards in the office. So they've created these programs such as Mural.
Miro, morale.
Um, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very popular. So that is also used. There's Confluence, which is another form of documentation where people also like to utilize that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
JIRA primarily as far as going over the actual user stories and making sure we're seeing the visualization of transitioning from to do and progress to done. JIRA is overall used for those
Yes, and
pictures.
it's digitized.
Absolutely.
And I know you guys use Trello, like we always discuss in classroom too. Trello and also Monday. They're kind of
Yes,
similar to Jira. They are all digitized. But the
absolutely.
Mural and the Miro, they are more like
Visual. You get the
visual, right?
visualization. Mm-hmm.
Visual, like a remote, being in like a whiteboard area, but not physically there, right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. There are new tools, and there's also Jira Align. Jira Align is used by some Scrum Masters. It's very administrative in that the product owner and the Scrum Master have access to it because when we're thinking about the big picture, meaning the upper management over the product owner, you want to think about the initiatives that people are trying to accomplish to meet the customer stakeholders' needs, the sub initiatives, and then also how all of those things align with other Scrum teams because sometimes there's overlap. Sometimes it also help to give the visual of where the dependencies are. Let's say, Professor Temi, you have a team member that we like to work with for a particular activity, and there's dependency because I need your team member to do what he or she needs first before our team does our part to then deliver it. So it also helps to give that visualization as well. There's also what I was recently introduced to, and I hope I do not misspeak about it because I'm very new to it. It's called Flow Metrics, wherein Scrum Masters can actually look at the analytics of how long a user story may have been in the backlog, how long it has taken for things to go from a to do to in progress to being done, finding out if there was actually a story that's maybe been in the backlog for 6 months. And it's just like, okay, so what are we going to do with this story? Are we going to reuse it or do we just cancel it at this point?
Mm.
So it
With the flow.
gives, yeah, so it's a lot of data behind it, not necessarily tracking to keep a close eye on what people are doing, but it also helps us to make sure we're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Very
Yes,
good.
yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for that.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's your advice for aspiring Scrum Masters? A lot of people are looking around, want to be a Scrum Master like you, want to learn. What is your advice for
Do it.
them?
No, of course, that's the easy answer, right? But and the reality is, we do Scrum every day in our lives. If you've planned something, if you've organized something, if you've facilitated something, if you've taught, if you've mentored, if you've coached, if you find that you're the type of person, it's just like, what can I do to help the other people around me be optimal and be optimized? Scrum is for you. Scrum is for you. You do not require any coding languages. If you wish to, there are some Scrum Masters who are dual hat, meaning there'll be a Scrum Master, let's say a system analyst or Scrum, So it all depends on where you are. But so just know that it is possible, that there is a support group, and that Scrum is definitely, I would say, I don't want to say the easiest because I don't want to misspeak as far as breaking into tech. And I think it's because the training is shorter than other programs.
The hands-on
So
training.
with that, so with that, you'll get that skill set a lot sooner, and you can definitely cultivate them over time, which they will augment once you start working for sure. And so the transferable skills, what do you do in your day to day?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in your personal life? How are you professionally? Those are the transferable skills where you're just a natural scrum master. And now it's just a matter of just managing a framework, just taking it from home to your other job or to coaching on a field or wherever and just putting it within an organization. So I would definitely say make that step.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Now you mentioned, you know, the coaching, the training is shorter. So I always tell people, Scrum is the easiest one in tech to break into. No coding, no scripting, no maths, no science.
Mhm.
It's easy and they make good money. Schedule a free call to break into Scrum. I just put it up here. It's free discovery called www.mituniversity.com. We do coaching, we do mentoring, we help you with networking. You can network in the team. We nurture you and you give you full community support. Okay, your resume, your LinkedIn, everything to help you break in and to support you to break in. So you can never make a mistake when you schedule a call and we can help you to break in. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The call is free 99.
Oh, yes, yes, man. Really 99. And like you said, we have so many other courses like cybersecurity, Scrum Master, project management, business analysis, data analysis, cloud, and software engineering, software testing, and so on. Scrum is the easiest one out of them all to break into. So, but if you're interested in any of these other courses, also reach out to us. You might know somebody, you might have a cousin, a nephew, a niece, a husband, a wife, anybody just finished from college, don't know what to do. Scrum
That's
is,
right.
I mean, tech is the easiest way to break into, especially
Yes,
Scrum is very easy. So I
that's
would
right.
just tell them, you know what, don't delay, don't procrastinate. If you want to do that, join us and we'll help you achieve the goal. You can
Yes.
break into Scrum in a very short time. And what I'm saying, is that many people are certified,
Hmm.
but certification does not mean that you can get a job.
That's right.
You are certified in the 2 days course you went to. You don't have the hands-on experience. You
That's
don't know
right.
what you are doing.
That's right.
What we do here is that we take you through the back end. You have the hands-on experience. You work with the team. You create your own project. You present your own project. You start the mentoring and the nurturing, and you can easily break in. And also, what we do, we have a whole platform for mentoring on its own, where you just being mentored by people like Kimberly and so many mentors at mentoring. Scrum mentoring group is very large and they are very loving. We are on Telegram, we are on Slack, we are on different platforms where you can just know a lot. Before you can even get started at the job, you have know a whole lot, and we have people working in all the industries, they are there. So you can never regret, to join us and to break in into Scrum. Right, well, Kimberly, what do you have to say about that?
That's it. You have to drop the mic on it, Professor Temi. That was it. Well said.
Good, good, good. We do a lot of community support. We do a lot of activity on Clubhouse, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, like here, everywhere. So you can always, get in. So connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to. I'm always on LinkedIn, and also you can send me an email if you have any questions. Support at myituniversity.com. Okay. Also follow us on all social media platforms. We are on all the social media platforms. Just look for my IT University. Even on YouTube, look for my IT University. You can subscribe to our channel. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We're also on my IT University on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow us and connect. Now, and don't forget, schedule a call, a free call, www.myituniversity.com, so you can break it into Scrum as fast as you want. So I thank you so much, Kimberly, for being here.
Yes,
And
sir.
today we have discussed about the daily Scrum Daily, sprint planning step by step, JIRA tips. So next week, I'll bring another Scrum Master. We'll discuss some other ceremony or some other tips. So if there's any topic that you guys want to also discuss, feel free to leave it in the comment section, and we will bring it back and discuss it and help you. Our major goal is to help you to break into tech. This is your break into tech show. So we're always here to serve you. So I thank you, Kimberly, for being here today. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
And I'm
ma'am.
sure you're enjoying being a Scrum Master. I can see all the radiant, shiny face, beautiful smile. So that shows the money is coming in, and what else? Work-life balance is there, and good
That's right.
perks and good benefit, and you can work from home. You are
Yes,
working from home.
absolutely. Yes, remote. Yes, ma'am.
Remote job. So, guys, if you are interested, join us, schedule a call, and you will never regret it. Thank you, Kimberly, for being here.
My
And
pleasure.
yes, ma'am. Any last word before we close?
Yes, and we can't forget Clubhouse. Professor Temi is also on Clubhouse as well. So by all means, come and join.
Yeah. So on Clubhouse, look for my IT University and join us. We always meet on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday. These are part of our free program we do for the community to support you and make sure you can keep the job, secure the job, and grow on the job. So that's what it is. It's not just about training, it's about training you and making you sure that you can progress and do well so that you can mentor others. It's about giving back to the community. Okay, we've done this so many years. We have so many awards to show for it. And we've have thousands of engineers to break into tech, so you are not an exception. So we thank you all for being here. We thank you, Kimberly, and thank everybody for listening to us. Until the next time, when we come back again to discuss more about different area of tech, it's Professor Temi, and this is my IT University platform. We are discussing on your Break into Tech show. Thank you so much, and have a blessed and lovely day. Thank you, Kimberly.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.